So I was brought up Catholic in the west of Ireland. I was taught by nuns in school, and I was taught a whole list of do's and don'ts and things to do to be right with God. You had to go through your sacraments, get your first confession, your communion, your confirmation, all these things, so that you could be right with God. But you didn't ever really know if you could ever have any assurance of eternal life. You just had to hope. And so I remember deciding at one point I was an agnostic when I heard that fancy word that meant you just believed there was something but you didn't know what. And then when I went to college, I had an opportunity to go abroad on a work placement. So I went to New York with a few other students. And while we were there, we were invited to church. And in this church, I remember people were getting up sharing testimonies. And one woman got up and started to talk about how her son had got shot in a case of mistaken identity. And now she was caring for him because he was paralyzed and everything. And she said that she still knows joy and peace in the Lord. So I'm sitting there as a Catholic thinking, well, that's not the God I know. The God I know just tells you go to Mass and that's it. And so it just really got me listening. And then I heard the gospel and I heard okay, yeah, well, I knew I was a sinner from being in a Catholic church, but I didn't know how to, I didn't know where to go from there. So, I learned from being in this church that Jesus had died on the cross for my sins, to save me from my sin. And if I just turn from my sin and put my trust in him, I can be forgiven and have eternal life. And so I put my trust in Jesus, and I've been living for him ever since.